Brother, welcome back to Living Enlightened. Over the past few weeks, we've been exploring what it means to become a centered man. Not a perfect man, not a passive man, a centered man. We talked about anger, identity, exhaustion, and the importance of returning to center. Today, I want to talk about something many men carry for most of their lives. Something so common, many don't even realize that they're doing it. The need to prove themselves, to prove they are successful, to prove they are strong, to prove they are worthy, to prove they belong, to prove they matter. And brother, the truth is, trying to prove yourself is exhausting. Many men spend decades chasing a finish line that doesn't exist. They believe, when I make enough money, when I achieve enough, when I earn enough respect, when people finally realize my value, then I'll feel complete. But something interesting happens. The achievement arrives, the promotion comes, the goal is reached, and yet the feeling doesn't last. Because proving yourself is not a destination, it's a treadmill. And no amount of external success can permanently satisfy an internal question. Center Edge teaches something different. The most powerful men are not trying to prove their value. They are living from it. That's a completely different way of moving through life. This week's principle is simple. A centered man does not seek validation. He seeks alignment. Validation asks, what do they think of me? Alignment asks, what do I know to be truth? Validation changes with opinions. Alignment remains steady. Validation is external. Alignment is internal. And brother, the second half of life is too valuable to spend chasing approval. This season is not asking you to become more impressive. It's asking you to become more authentic. The need to prove yourself often shows up in subtle ways. Over-explaining, people-pleasing, seeking recognition, defending every decision, needing to be right, comparing yourself to others. Now, many men call this ambition, but often it's insecurity, wearing a suit, and there is no shame in admitting that. Most of us learned it honestly. We learned that our worth came from what we produced, what we achieved, what others thought. But eventually, life invites us into a deeper truth. Your true value existed before your accomplishments, and it will remain after them. Stop, center, align. This week's practice is simple. Stop. Notice when you feel the urge to prove something. Center. Pause. Breathe. Return to awareness. Then ask, what am I trying to prove? And to whom? Now align. Act from truth, not from the need for approval. Act from values, not validation. Act from center, not insecurity. Because a centered man understands What is real does not need constant defense. Brother, imagine how much energy becomes available when you stop trying to convince everyone who you are. Imagine how much peace becomes possible when you stop measuring yourself through someone else's eyes. Imagine how much freedom emerges when you no longer need every room to approve of you. That is not arrogance. That is maturity. That is what happens when a man begins to trust himself. And trust is one of the highest forms of inner strength. Brother, you have nothing left to prove. Not because you've achieved everything, not because you've done everything perfectly, but because your value was never dependent upon achievement in the first place. The second half of life is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully yourself, centered, grounded, authentic, present. Because remember, the strongest man in the room is often the one who no longer needs the room to tell him who he is. And that is the work of living enlightened through the centered edge. Until next time, trust yourself, protect your peace, and keep living enlightened.